some of the questions that we have, and I use a couple computers, but I'm trying to get more efficient where I'm not totally taking my eyes off you anymore. I used to have to kind of turn around to a different computer. So I'm going to go through some of the questions now. I'm going to start answering the questions. And let me see. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to have like 3 windows here so I can see if there's anybody in the chat, who's in the phone, if you guys are on the line. Alright, so this person didn't put their phone number in, so I can't tell if you're on the line, but it's someone named Jill. So Jill, when I read your question, if you are in the chat, I won't be able to tell who you are on the phone line. But if you're in the chat and you want to ask a question, then you're able to do that. Okay, so Jill is, I'm not sure where Jill is, so sometimes, how'd you get through without telling me where you're from? You're from the United States. Maybe I changed that. You know, it's funny, I had like zip code on there or something. I need to take that off, because as this goes out to other countries, they're like, zip, I don't want to do anything that's a zip file. And I'm like, what? It's not a zip file, it's your zip code. But that's so like USA lingo, I think. Postal code is, I think, what a lot of other people call it. Okay, so this is Jill. And Jill is from, I'm not sure where you're from. Okay. For some reason, I think like, I don't know why. It reminds me of the Seattle area, but I'm not sure why. But anyway, I really don't know where you're at. I'm completely guessing. Okay, but Jill says, I'm an amazingly gifted entrepreneur. However, I've spent the last 7 years in an on-again, off-again woman who has control and intimacy issues. She breaks up with me every 2 weeks, that comes back and I take her back. She broke up with me again 2 weeks ago. It's hard to move on because in the back of my mind I know she might pop back into my life and give me the old I've changed, I love you, and I don't want to be like that song and dance. Sorry, this must have been done on a Mac. Sometimes when it's on a Mac it puts little extra characters in it and I have to interpret around the characters. I want a better life. I don't want to do this anymore. This dance with her is clogging my body, mind, heart, and soul. How can I finally get her know and let her go and move on from this? Okay, so I'm going to say, okay. So, you know, on the surface, someone might go, oh, we'll just say goodbye to you, right? But as what I've just explained, it's not really so simple about that. Okay, so I'm going to say this is negativity. It's a pattern that came in when you were 3 years old. And this is a little complicated because there are 2 aspects going on here, and I'm going to talk to you about both of them. But while they're a good candidate for the thought shifting, they might be something that ends up getting done separately. But let me just see here as I go through. Okay, so I'm seeing your mother, and your mother was kind of unfulfilled. I'm seeing her in an apron, and I'm seeing she's got, okay, I'm just going to tell you what I'm getting, and then we'll see how we can interpret it. What happens is I get the information, the energy, and then I have to try to interpret it like into English. Okay, so this is going to seem silly, but I see her in an apron and she's got a shiny face, okay? Almost like it's a happy face on the surface, but it's not a really happy face, okay? And I'm not saying that she's not happy. I'm saying more like there is this undercurrent to her where she's happy and shiny and bubbly and everything like on this outside, and there's this whole other piece that nobody talks about. Okay? And I think you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So, other piece no one talks about. It's almost like if I don't see it, it doesn't happen. Okay? That's exactly it. So she has this huge ability to sort of like block out reality, okay? And you learned this from her. So what happened is when you're in a relationship, not just a relationship by the way, this happens all over your life. But this relationship is what brought you to the question. When you're in a relationship, if you're in a business partnership, if you have somebody doing a service for you, like a gardener or whatever, it's almost like the blinders come on and you don't want to see it, okay? So that's the first layer. So what happens is, when you get out of it, you see it, and you're like, oh my God, why did I do that? Like all the things I talked about earlier. But while you're in it, you don't want to see it. So you just, like, pull down this blinder, pull down this shade, put on your little apron, put on your little happy face, and ignore it. You live in, like, Blissville, okay? But in not a good way. Ignore it. I hope that this makes sense. So what happened is, we learned basically 3 ways, this negativity. One of them is by modeling. So you really have modeled your mom's behavior in this area. Okay, now, we have another layer here. And the other layer has to do with your confidence in yourself, okay? That's where I'm going to put it. Your insecurity in going it alone, okay? So there's this piece of you that's kind of like, I need someone. Now this came about, this is separate negativity. That's why I said this is kind of a multi-layered thing. Because this piece of feeling like you need someone, there is energy from your mom, but there's also energy from your dad. And I really am seeing that in some ways, I don't want to say that they coddled you, because that's not the right word. It's almost like they didn't let you grow, okay? So you kind of grew up feeling like that you needed something still. So again, kind of behavior that was modeled for you, but it wasn't out of meanness or anything. It was more out of, well, okay, this is what it was really out of. Interesting. You were the distraction to keep them from focusing on each other somehow. So it's almost like they put all their attention on you. Hope this is all making sense to you. Now, the result of that, though, is that you grew up sort of feeling like, I need somebody. So whenever you're without somebody, it's like there's a big old void there. Okay? And that is definitely negativity also. So let me see, in terms of clearing these things out, what would be, what is what? Because it's kind of like a dual layered thing here. Now first of all, let me give you your total negativity so you have an idea. It's 98.2%. Okay, so you're a little bit above average, but I see that a lot on these calls because, you know, when you're 97.4% is the planet, there isn't much further to go anyway. So, so I'm seeing that, and then I'm gonna look at these. I'm gonna break these 2 issues down. Issue number 1 is 27.2 of that, and issue number 2 looks like the bigger issue is 39.3% of that. Okay, so my suggestion would be, in terms of being able to help you with this, is that I would definitely recommend the thought shifting level 1 and level 2. And I'm gonna, you know what, I need to update that web page, but it's basically, oh, what did I do? I opened up another box. PamRagland.com/level 2, but I need to add the level 1 in there. And this is going to be, I went back, what I did is I did level 2, and then I found that people really need the foundation of level 1, and I thought it was going to be training, but it turns out to also be shifting. So anyway, now you have to do level 1 before you can go on to level 2, because it's like a foundation, and every level builds on the next level. But I haven't updated the web page. I've just been doing it by emails. So I need to do that, because this is the last time I'm going to offer the special price on level 1, kind of more like the introductory price, because I Didn't know I was shifting as much as I am. Okay, so I'm actually doing more than I thought. So a lot of people will get a benefit just from level 1. But I do feel that you would be best served at least going on to level 2. Because combined with these two issues is almost 60% negativity. So you might need to do level 2 for one of them, then level 2 for the other. What I would say is do level 1, do level 2 once for your most prevalent issue, and then let's see how you do with that, okay? And then you can decide if you want to go on from there. So it's PamRagland.com, and I promise this time I will definitely send the email out as soon as I update that webpage /level 2, okay, if you want to find out more about it. But that's what I would recommend for you, Jill, because I do have a sense that you have a lot to offer, but I just see you like spinning your wheels like continually. The reason it's so difficult to get out of this pattern is because you have these two things going on at the same time, so they've kind of layered together. Okay, so I do hope that that helps you. Let's see, and I have a new system, so let me go over these. Yay, I stopped it. Okay. Alright, let me take another one. That was kind of a long one because that was complicated, but that's okay. Let's see here. Okay, this one should be simple actually. So I'm going to take it. And your name is Richard, and again I have no clue where you're from. How does that happen? I thought I made like city required or something. Maybe I changed that. I don't know. Like I at least like to have a little teeny bit of a clue. Because I need a lot of Richards. Okay, so my computer's going really slow. Wake up, there you go. Okay, so Richard someplace in the USA. Okay, and writing your email down, that way I can find you again. Okay, so can I really stop my negative thoughts forever? Yes and no. Let me explain to you how that works. So what happens is, yes, you can be shifted so that your negative nagging thoughts aren't there anymore. Yes, that can happen. However, recognize that we're swimming in a sea of negativity. So if you imagine you're swimming through the ocean and that thing is just like covered with pollution and you're hitting a can here and a bunch of old rotten food there, all this stuff that you're running into, okay? That's what happens. We're in the middle of that. So what I do is I give you tools though for how to deal with that, for how to reduce the impact of the planet's negativity on you so that you can go forth and do what it is that you came here to do. So basically that's how that works. That's why what I do, a lot of it is really training. You know, it's interesting. I can shift any number of people. It's unlimited. I could like shift the whole planet at one time. But the support piece is one where I'm actually going to be bringing on some trainers and things like that in this year to help me, because it really is a big change. And there really is a lot to getting these tools down so that you can basically survive in the muck. Okay? So I hope that that helps. Give you an idea. So yes, that is possible, but with some caveats. Okay. This is Charlotte. And Charlotte is from Dripping Springs, Texas. I heard you guys are going to have some crazy weather there. Crazy, crazy. Okay, so So Charlotte says, I need help with my money power. Ooh, I love money questions. I love money. I love money questions because I know how to help you be in your power around money, and I love that. I know that, and then I can help you with that. Oh, I'm going to cry. I feel really grateful to get to do that. Okay. Alright, so I need help with my money power. I lost over $70,000 in the last 3 years trying to make money. I've listened to your Money Magnet CD and done the exercises for several months now, and I'm still being duped by people and programs I think will help me in my business. Help. Okay, so I'm going to talk two things about that. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about what money is, okay? Money is power. So if you think of when you don't have money, what's really happening is you are not in your power. So that masterpiece that I talked about, you know, when I tell people, it's funny, I run into all these like healers and everything all the time. Sometimes it makes me crazy. I can't stand the, oh, I don't really need money anyway. Yes, you do. Because if it's not in the hands of the good people, guess where it's at? It's on the other side. Yes, you do. In order for the money to shift, you need to be willing to take it. Okay? So it drives me nuts. And I'll say, listen, if you're a healer and you're not making a substantial amount of money, high 5 figures, 6 figures, you're not doing something right. You're not in your power, and you are not able to help people as powerfully. That's just the bottom line. Okay? So, when you find that you, and you know, please understand when I say these things, I'm not judging you or criticizing you. I'm letting you know what I know about it, so that you can go, oh, wait a minute. That's not how I want my life to be. I want to be in my power. That's not okay with me. Alright? Which is truly easier said than done, but I'll tell you about that. So the first thing is to understand money is power. So if you're giving up your energy, if you're giving up your power, you're giving up your money. Okay? So you have to look at every place in your life. Now, you're sort of in a victim place about, and I'm not saying you're being a victim, but you're in a victim spot where you're being victimized. And you kind of have to get out of that. This is part of what I start teaching very much at level 1. Because if you're in that space, you cannot create as powerfully as you're meant to be. Period. So, now what the Money Magnet CD does, in case you guys don't know, is, and I'll tell you the website is the number 5, the numeral 5, money, M-O-N-E-Y, secrets.com. Someone took the 5 spelled out. It wasn't out there, but they heard me promoting it and they took it, which kind of irritates me. But anyway, so the numeral 5, moneysecrets.com, are my free money videos. Or if you're interested in that, because I know, Charlotte, you already have it. But if anyone else listening, moneymagnetcd.com is to get directly to the CD. Okay, now what the CD does is it puts you in the vibe of money while you're listening to it. But if you've got negativity that's out there, that's dragging you down, that's in your subconscious, that's automatically creating something else, you still have that whole other pattern going on over here. So temporarily, you're in the vibration of money, but all the rest of the time, you're out of it. Okay? And that's what I'm hearing is happening for you. When you see that you've got a pattern, you know for sure that that's negativity. So now let's get to that. Let's see. So, you know, the Money Magnet CD doesn't keep you from being duped. It doesn't get rid of that energy. It just keeps you in the vibration, the frequency, keeps you to be a match of money while you're listening to it. Now, one of the keys that I'll tell you about that is to be in your heart. Okay? So, I include that in the CD, but there's a reason. Because that really is where you can sort of shortcut your quest to power. Okay? So there's something I help you with on the CD. By the way, I've also come out with a book. I need to just email that to everybody who's already bought the CD. I would recommend the book also, because it does kind of take you through systematically. It's like a home study that takes you through systematically to help you use the CD most effectively. So I'll put that down too as something that could help you. I think what they have to do is like send a new cover or something for some minor thing I need to do to get that thing out. I've been talking about that for a while. I need to do that. Okay. So the key is to be in your heart. Okay. Then there's these other resources that I have for you. The Be a Money Magnet book that will help you also, especially when you already have the CD, because it's based on that. But there's some other things in there, information that I expanded on a little bit past the CD. Okay. Now let's talk about the negativity. Because there's negativity in here. Okay, the pattern of the negativity. You're 2 years old. what I mean? It's like 0 to, you're going to see 0 to 3, 0 to 3, 0 to 3. It's crazy how much stuff we acquire. I didn't mention that. By the time we're 5, we have 61% of our adult thoughts already, and already a third of them, more than 1 million of those clusters, are already negative. It's this horrendous amount that we're exposed to. It's crazy. Okay, 2 years old, negativity. This comes from your dad. Okay, now this issue of being duped is about trusting yourself. Okay? Feeling you can trust yourself. So what I'm seeing is your dad, and it's in a relationship to you. It's not that he didn't trust you. But it's not really that he didn't trust himself either. It's like he didn't trust other people. That's what you saw, okay? Now underneath it is that he really didn't trust himself to, I guess it is kind of that. He didn't really trust himself to be good at reading people. So he just didn't trust people. Okay, so you saw that, but what you got out of it, so that's kind of his underlying negativity. See how these things that get passed on? But what you got out of it is people can't be trusted. Now, this goes into more of your life than just money, once again. But let me kind of explain to you how this plays out. So you've got this idea in your subconscious, people can't be trusted. It's in there, you're not aware of it, you're not conscious to it, except for when I say it, you probably know it when I say this to you. When you reflect on that, you'll kind of start seeing it if you don't see it already. Okay, so people can't be trusted. Let me see if you're on the phone, by the way. Just noticed you put a phone number in there. Okay, I don't see you. Okay, so you've got this idea that people can't be trusted. It's in your subconscious, it's hidden too, but it's creating that for you. So what happens is your subconscious, through this thing called the reticular activating system, some of you may have heard about that, goes out and starts attracting circumstances for you that say, hey, let's prove to Charlotte that people can't be trusted. So you attract someone here to prove to you that the person can't be trusted. You attract someone over there to prove to you that the person can't be trusted. That's what happens. Okay? So you start attracting all these circumstances. This is why. One of the things that you can really do to identify, do you have negativity operating in your life, is look and see if you've got a pattern. If you've got a pattern of the same thing happening over and over, you know that there's negativity there. Okay? So let's look at your total negativity. It's 98.4%. So again, above average, but the average is so high. La-di-da-di-da. Okay, this issue is 51%. Okay, so this is really high. So I'm going to be honest with you. You can do level 1, thought shifting, and you can do level 2, but you probably eventually need to do level 4 to clear this all. Because what happens is the more of it you get, the earlier that it came. Now, there tends to be a correlation. The earlier that it comes, there tends to be, not always, but more negativity wrapped up in the issue, because it's like a snowball. Once it's there, it starts attracting more and more and more stuff like that, okay? But the greater the amount that you have, especially when it gets to be more than half of all your negativity, that you start having little fingers and toes everywhere. The mind's like a big old spider web, and it's all connected. So sometimes the most effective thing, well, really always the most effective thing, is to get shifted at level 4, the quantum thought shifting that removes it all. But sometimes that just isn't what you're ready for or what's feasible for you, okay? So that's why I really like, I'm grateful now that I have this process you can go through that's level 1. You can see what you like about it. Level 2, you can kind of move at your own pace a little bit more. You can go directly into it, or you can, take a break in between. I have clients that do that too. Clients I shifted at level 2 like last year that just came back for the level 3, or another level 2 or whatever. You can repeat level. You don't ever have to repeat level 1 because level 2 is of your choice. You can repeat it. Like up to a couple times. Then you go to level 3 and level 4. Okay, so I would recommend that eventually you're going to want to look at level 4 though. Okay, so again, it's pamragland.com/level2, but don't buy that because I need to update it for level 1 and the new pricing and the old pricing. And so I'll actually send an email when I do that. Okay, that's what I would look at for you. I really think that go ahead and kind of start slowly with it, especially because you've been duped so many times. So my gosh, can you trust me? So, you know, really ought to be a question that's in your head. So start out slow, okay? And then just see for you the difference that you see, and then you can move on. All right, so I hope that helps. But also, you know, you can start really slow with that 30-day action guide on the Money Magnet CD also. You'll see some changes from that also, but this negativity that's underneath it is kind of just, the reason that you're having such a hard time with this is because it is so much negativity. Okay, it's so much of who you are. And it's, again, if you go and think about it in these areas of where people can't be trusted, it's not going to be just around the money area, I guarantee you. Okay, so, hey, I'm so excited I have a new system, because I'm really bad at getting back to you guys when I've answered your questions. Some people, if you're not on the call, you don't know I answered your question. Sorry, this computer's a little slow. I have 2 computers in. Uh-oh. Let me just move forward and backwards here. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Okay. Oh. Okay, I'm going to take this one. Funny, I was going the other way, but this one spoke to me. And so I'm taking this one. This is a person named Dennis. Dennis is in Las Vegas. See, I knew I had the city on there somewhere. Not sure people, I have like a tickle in my nose. Okay, so, so Dennis says, I've struggled with anxiety and depression, obsessive thinking, holding on to the past. I want to break free and achieve my goals. I've done meditation. He Bill Harris's Center Point program. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Counseling. I feel like a breakthrough financially, being my own boss would be a snowball effect of positivity and helping me feel better about myself and being a parent and free up time to allow me to do the things I want to do and try. Thanks. Okay, so so I've already kind of explained why we hold on to the past. It is this repetition of the subconscious stuff over and over, so I'm not going to talk about that so much. But I do want to talk about, so I use these questions to kind of talk about general things and then your specific question also. But I do want to talk a little bit about anxiety and depression, because they go hand in hand, and you know, I don't know if you're taking anything for it, but fully 2/3 of the people that come to me are on something, and I start to get really ticked off about that, because the doctors just really don't know what to do, so they put you on a medicine. One of my friends went on those medicines, and I was like, I told her, don't go on it. She's like, you know, I said it has all these side effects, and I actually take people off of depression and anxiety medicine. I work with people that have addictions also. I can get rid of heroin withdrawals and stuff like that. Well, I've seen them operate just like heroin. I mean, the withdrawal is really bad, and they'll say it's not physically addictive, but that's all BS. Blah, 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 to get you to take their medicine. So, now, but what is that really, anxiety and depression? A lot of times what it is we have these emotions and we have these feelings and we are not expressing them. And many times it's worse for men than it is for women, because men in our society are not allowed to be the one who expresses your feelings. I mean, if you start talking about your feelings, you know, we think there's something wrong with you, or you're gay or whatever. Not that there's something wrong with you, you are. But we have these ideas that it's not okay for men to express their feelings. So it's hard enough for women to do it, to really express your feelings. Yeah, you can sort of talk at the surface, but don't be really telling us how you feel, okay? But men, it's even more difficult. So what happens is, if you think of like a volcano, all that stuff just sits under the surface and it builds up and it gets, more and more and more difficult and stuff down, and pretty soon it is going to blow. And it's going to blow in one way or another. You might have an accident, you might have an illness, you might get depression, you might get anxiety, you might get panic attacks. Okay, now, this goes along with the obsessive thinking, because obsessive thinking is just a negative habit that you're repeating over and over and over again. So the more you get this habit of holding down your emotions, then you use it kind of as coping mechanism, and it stuffs it in there more, and it creates more anxiety, and the more you stuff it, the worse it gets. Okay, and then you'll develop habits. Well, it sounds like one of your habits is obsessive thinking, but that happens again because the negativity is in there. It's swirling around over and over again. Okay, so this is all like really typical stuff. I talk about this in my addiction book, by the way. So I'm going to give you, it's called the number 7 Whys, WHYS, of addiction. So even though .com is where you can find it. So even though, so the 7, the numeral 7 Whys, WHYS, of addiction.com. So even though you may not have an addiction, you kind of do have an addiction in a way. Okay, that's the dynamic that's going on. So the dynamic that happens for everyone with addiction, whether it's food or sex or computers or or it is like using some coping mechanism to deal with your life. That's all it is. And eventually it gets worse and worse. Now, holding on to the past again is very difficult because of all, as I explained, with all this negativity that's in your subconscious. I won't talk anymore about that. Meditation is okay. It doesn't get rid of negativity. This is the trouble. Let me talk about Holosync, okay, which is Bill Harris's center point. I actually have met Bill and measured his negativity. And let me tell you what the Holosync CDs do. They're not bad, okay. What they do is, that when I talked about that in negativity chain, you've got a thought and you have an emotion, you've got this neural pathway. What the Holosync CDs are doing is they're breaking that neural pathway apart. Now, they're not getting rid of the negative thought, and they're not getting rid of the negative emotion, but they are kind of disconnecting them. So from that perspective, you can feel better. The problem is they just take so doggone long. There's like 13 levels, and they take forever. And I can tell you for a matter of fact, they'll never get rid of all your negativity, because I've measured Bill's negativity, and he's done the whole thing, okay? And I've measured other people. I've had clients in my program, and because the thought shifting is kind of more complete, the thought shifting gets rid of the thought, the emotion, and the neural pathway all at once. It's the only thing that gets rid of that whole chain. Because it does that, most of the systems that are out there, I forgot to say that, work on one end of the chain. So like hypnosis, affirmations, visualizations, they're working on the thought end of the chain. Things like EFT, Sedona method, release method, things like that, they're working on the emotional end of the chain. Things like the healing codes, Holosync, they're working on the neural pathway part of the chain. That machine I was working with, but thought shifting is the only thing that I've ever run into on the planet, and I'm told by my higher up guides that it is the only thing on the planet that gets rid of the whole entire thing. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why it's more powerful. Instead of having all these little pieces that are left over there, it's just like wiped it out. Okay, so Holosync isn't bad. It's just that it's only working on one piece and it's really slow. So some people do, like they play the Holosync and they get relief from it. I personally like the number 1 Holosync. I think it's kind of relaxing. Bill gave it to me for free. I think I didn't have to pay for it, but it's like, peaceful. It's water, it's chimes and stuff like that. So, it's nice and peaceful and everything. I really like that. But in terms of effectiveness of getting rid of the negativity, it's not so effective. Okay? Again, you're going to you're going to break apart these neural pathways, and you're going to attract them back almost as quickly as you break them apart with the Holosync. Okay? So this is one of the reasons why you've tried all these things, but you may not be noticing a huge benefit. Counseling can maybe help, maybe, depending on the person, help you identify the issue. But again, with 61% of your lifetime thoughts there by the time that you're 5, we don't remember a lot of stuff that happened to us early on. So counseling is really minimally effective in terms of really getting to the root cause, unless somebody's very intuitive about it, because you typically cannot articulate the thing that's really the cause. Adding on to that is the fact that before we're 5, everything is more stored as more of what I would call the idea of a thought than a thought before we're like 3, okay, before we really have language. So the emotion's there, but it's hard to put a thought along with it. A lot of times what will happen is I'll identify this negativity for you, and it's like once you hear the words, then you can connect it up with the emotions of these early things, and you go, that's it. Like all of a sudden now you have words for that feeling that's been there, that's maybe like this nagging thing that you could never put your finger on, okay? So anyway, that's why those things are immediately effective. So let's look at what's really going on about achieving your goals. What you're really talking about is you're not achieving your goals. Okay, so this is what I'm feeling. This is 3 years old again. I'm literally seeing like your hands tied. Now, I'm not saying that somebody abused you and tied your hands. What I'm seeing is that you couldn't do anything really. Like, you were like, not overprotected, but over controlled, okay? Your this keeps coming through in my head to tell you, your hands were tied, okay? So what's happened is, as an adult, you've gotten this idea that like it's not okay to go take risks or even try stuff. Feeling like one of your parents is kind of maybe very obsessive, kind of anal maybe, and they kind of put that upon you. This is not now this is a different situation though. Let me be clear. This is not you modeling their behavior, even if they're like that. This is you getting an idea for yourself. So the 3 ways that we get the negativity: somebody tells us something, they might say, oh, you're so ugly, and then we believe it, okay? Or we model the behavior that we see, or we internalize something. This is you internalized something. You made something of the circumstance. You made an idea in your head. Now, because adults don't think like kids, when we're a child, we make things different, look differently. Like, for example, I drew the 13-year-old boy, and when he was 3, everyone said, oh, you're just being a boy. Well, he took that to mean in a 3-year-old's mind that it's not okay to be a boy, they like the girls better than boys, all this stuff, when it didn't really mean that at all. Okay? So, in a kid's mind, we look at things differently. So you internalized, and it's like you've never looked back to say, oh my gosh, it felt like my hands were tied, but were they really tied? Okay? So I hope that makes sense. You really learned to think this about yourself by the way that you were treated. So now let's take it forward. I forgot I'm going to pick up my kids from their dad, so actually that's kind of good because they're not going to be busting through the door. So because you internalize this, what happens is, as soon as you get close to doing anything, it's like it stops you. It's literally like your hands are tied, okay? And you don't take that next step, or you don't take that next action, or you don't take that next phone call, and it really makes you feel stuck. So this is definitely negativity. That's the good news. The good news is it's only negativity because we can do something about that. We have the means. But let's see how much it is. Okay, so you're at 98.7. Do you have a little bit more negativity than average? Okay. This issue is 57%. So this is a huge issue for you. Like colors your whole entire life. I can see why you feel really trapped by it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the same advice as I told Charlotte, which is basically level 1, level 2, kind of do them in order, but you probably are going to end up needing to do level 4, to be quite frank with you, to see your biggest result, to really get free of all of it, because it is so intertwined in who you are, that, you know, that's kind of huge. But you may also read the book if you can, you know, get to it, The 7 Whys of Addiction. Someone asked me to put that on audio. Maybe I will. Right now I haven't done that. It's actually easier to go from audio to writing, but anyway, whatever. I type fast. I talk fast too, I suppose. I think I type faster than I talk. So I would suggest looking at that. Okay, I think that is all I'm going to have a chance to answer for tonight in terms of the questions. Let me see. I need to talk about the Egypt stuff. Oh, no, there's one more. Let me see if this one's quick. Oh, okay. Someone's asking about the money seminar. Am I going to do it? Yes, I am. I just took a big old long break at the holidays. So yes, I will for sure be doing that again. I just need to get it on the schedule. Okay. I'm doing it about once every 6 months now, so, but I'm definitely going to do it again, so don't worry. Don't worry, I will for sure do it. Okay. So let me talk. I'm going to talk about